This is Wickett on Wisconsin. My name's Mike Wickett. After 10 years in Milwaukee talking sports, I took a bit of a break, but now I'm back and here to talk about the Packers, the Bucks, the Brewers, and more with you. And now inside the Koss Headphone Studios, this is Wickett on Wisconsin with me, Mike Wickett. All right, there is no other way to put it than that was an embarrassing loss. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast to wrap up, look at, break down, and vent over the Packers' 28-22 loss. Yes, loss to the Minnesota Vikings, a team they dominated in Week 1, a team they are obviously superior to, at least on paper, coming into this football game, and the Packers lose at home to a team that was a one-man show. And listen, if you're watching the video, all right, you're going to see something. If you are listening to the podcast, I appreciate it. I also do a video. You can find my YouTube page. I post all the videos. It's basically me staring into the camera doing exactly what you hear, but I'm a lot more animated as well. I talk with my hands a lot. But if you are watching, I'm going to put a picture up, all right? If you're watching and you're a Packers fan, hell, if you're a Vikings fan and you're watching, you know exactly who this person is, all right? Ready? Here we go. It's Dalvin Cook. See that guy? That is Dalvin Cook. I wish Mike Pettine knew who Dalvin Cook was. Then Mike Pettine could have taken a picture of Dalvin Cook and shown it to his defense and said, hey, see this guy? This is Dalvin Cook. Now, he didn't play last game because he was injured, but that doesn't mean he's not going to play in our game today. When you see Dalvin Cook, make sure you tackle Dalvin Cook. You know why? Because Dalvin Cook's going to run it down your throat because everybody in the National Football League knows that Dalvin Cook or any good running back can run it down your throat if you're the Green Bay Packers. Mike Pettine didn't do that. Mike Pettine didn't do that at halftime after Dalvin Cook had scored multiple touchdowns in the first half on this defense. And then he continued on in the second half. And I don't understand. And maybe there's nothing Green Bay can do. But the Packers didn't lose to the Vikings today. The Packers lost to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook scored 4 touchdowns and had 200 yards. Are you kidding me? I mean, how do you not, especially after he's churning early, how do you not sell out to beat Dalvin Cook? Like, doesn't that make zero sense to anyone else? How do you not sell out to beat that guy? Listen, Kirk Cousins is trash, all right? Take your chances with the best defensive back in football and the ancillary guys and a darn good safety in Adrian Amos who's balled out all year, all right? But you got Jair Alexander and you got Adrian Amos and other guys. I'll take my chances. I will take my chances making Kirk Cousins throw the ball if I stack the box. And just maybe stacking the box isn't enough because Green Bay's not a good enough tackling football team. The scheme isn't good enough to zero in and get guys and get off blocks and get to Dalvin Cook. And maybe these guys aren't good enough to bring Dalvin Cook down on their own. But how in the world did you not sell out and say, we're going to let Kirk Cousins try to beat us? Instead of whatever the hell that game plan was, because it was pathetic. And you know what? I did this exact same podcast a couple of weeks ago when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat up Green Bay on the offensive line. I talked about it after Week 1 when Minnesota pounded them down the center on those opening drives. It took a couple of bad plays by Kirk Cousins, an actual couple of good plays by the Packers defense in Week 1, and things got out of hand, and they couldn't just keep running the football. The Lions were able to run it down the Green Bay Packers' throat. Do you know what happens in 4 bleeping days? You see the best rushing attack in the National Football League, all right? There is no Dalvin Cook on the San Francisco 49ers or anyone in that stratosphere that's healthy. Raheem Mostert's tremendous, but he's hurt. Who knows who's going to be healthy in that backfield? But it doesn't matter. That scheme crushed Green Bay twice last year. What are they going to do to Green Bay in 4 days on Thursday Night Football? Because the recipe, it's like every time the Packers lose and I do one of these podcasts or I do one of these videos or I talk about the Green Bay Packers after a loss, it's the same story. It's they're soft in the middle. It's that Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, none of these guys make any plays. And the opposition has a running back that goes for a career day or rushes for $1.25 or $1.50 or $1.75. Or in Dalvin Cook's case, let me just get the accurate stats up here on the cast. 30 carries for $1.63, 2 catches for 63. That is 32 touches. And by my math, that is 226 total yards and 4 touchdowns. And that 50-yard screen was an absolute disaster of a Green Bay Packers tackling clinic. What in the world was that? I'll get to the offense. The offense wasn't spectacular. The offense was okay. I mean, Aaron, if you want to get into stats, we'll do that in a second. But how do you not say we're going to make Kirk Cousins beat us and just put guys on islands and stack at 8 in the box? And you know what? If Thielen beats you once or twice down the middle, it's going to happen. But stop losing to Dalvin Cook. And what happened at halftime? I mean, I think it's easy for people like me who are fans, who are angry at halftime. The game was tied. Like, you still felt really good if you were a Packers fan, I think. But there had to be some kind of an adjustment made from the defensive side of the football. And that defensive adjustment should have been, we got to stop Dalvin Cook. But that there was never any change in anything. As a matter of fact, it, like whatever they did, schematically, got worse. The only time they looked good against Dalvin Cook was Minnesota's final drive when they actually stopped him on, what was that, a 3rd and 9 or whatever it was, to force a punt and get the ball back and give Aaron a chance. And Aaron just dinking and dunking his way down the field. And then on that final, the play before the final play of the drive, they wasted time. I mean, Tonyan catches the ball inbounds, can't get out of bounds. They have to scramble to line up. Jamal Williams, you hear Aaron barking out, and you wouldn't have been able to hear that in a normal season because there are no fans, and Lambeau would have been going absolutely wild. But you got Aaron barking it out. Get on the line, and Jamal Williams wasting more time. Tick, 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 tick. It almost would have been fine to snap it, let the 10-second runoff happen, and go from there because you only got one more play, and we know what happened. Aaron had to scramble. One of the Minnesota defenders never gave up on the play, came up from behind. Aaron fumbled. Ball game. But this game wasn't lost because of Green Bay's offense. The offense wasn't stellar. Absolutely not. The offense was not stellar. Aaron Rodgers, 27 of 41 for 291. He had 3 touchdown passes, all to Davante Adams, who, if you look at Davante's line, I said 7 for 53. Not a great day for Davante, but if you're a fantasy owner, those 3 touchdowns are huge. Robert Tonyan actually out-received him in terms of yards. Catches 5, 79 yards. He had a few more than Davante. Sternberger, Williams, and Malik Taylor, MVS caught a pass. Equinemius St. Brown didn't do himself any favors today. He caught one, dropped one. Tough catch, but you got to make it if you're a National Football League wide receiver over the middle. And then the 4th and 10. I mean, that just tells you where this team is at offensively. I mean, it was 14-14. Minnesota goes down the field and scores. And then the next drive was one of the worst answers. You know how you always hear, it's a good answer for the Green Bay Packers, or it was a great answer by the Cleveland Browns or whatever. That was a terrible answer by Green Bay. It was a bad run, a bad pass, a drop, and then 4th and 10, they go for it? I know where they were on the right side of the 40, or the 50, I should say, but you're going for it on 4th and 10? I know analytics say go for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and you got Aaron Rodgers, but 4th and 10? What that said was, well, we know our defense sucks, and we can't stop Dalvin Cook. And that's exactly the truth. That's 100% the truth. That sucked. That game sucked. Like, there are some college football games over the weekend that the losses should never happen. They're unthinkable losses. Iowa should not have lost to Northwestern. Michigan should not have lost to Michigan State. This game should not have happened. There is in no way should this Packers team had lost to that Minnesota Vikings team. That's pathetic. And it's on Mike Pettine. I mean, for once, Green Bay lost a game under Matt LaFleur by 6. They didn't lose by 16 or 38-10 or whatever that Tampa score was. They lost by 6. It doesn't usually happen. Usually when Mike Pettine's teams lose, they get pounded and they can't play from behind. They get out physical, and then see you later. Here's San Francisco scoring 4 straight touchdowns in the second half or whatever. Here's Tom Brady. Great field position again. Dink, 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 dink. No pressure. And speaking of no pressure, back to the reason they lost. This defense, unable to stop Dalvin Cook. Soft in the middle again. Soft up front again. And I know my timeline is full of it. My Twitter timeline, my Facebook newsfeed is full of it, and it should be because Packers fans are pissed, and you should be pissed. They want Mike Pettine fired. Well, you're not firing Mike Pettine. You're not firing Mike Pettine on November 1st after 7 games. You're not. I don't know what the answer is. I hope Brian Gutekunst isn't looking down and thinking, we're good. We're good. We'll just ride this. Matt LaFleur has never lost back-to-back games. That might change on Thursday. Today is the 1st of November. Monday is the 2nd. Tuesday is the 3rd. Wednesday is the 4th. I believe that is the NFL trade deadline. I don't know what the answer is. I know that the offense, everybody wants to see a shiny weapon thrown back in here and Will Fuller's name comes up. I'd rather see J.J. Watt. I'd rather see someone that can help this team out on the defensive side of the ball, because if somebody could have tackled, and I know he's much more of a pass rushing specialist, especially at this point in his banged-up career. And I don't know if J.J. Watt's the guy, but I know people are talking about Houston, so I'm going to use that one. I know J.J.'s connection being a Wisconsin guy. But if somebody could have tackled Dalvin Cook, maybe at the line of scrimmage, hell, maybe in the backfield once or twice, then maybe you do give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you do give this offense, even though at times it looked weird today, maybe you do give a few more chances to number 12. And they're doing this without Aaron Jones, and they're doing this without Allen Lazard. I know people are going to say, Mike, they're banged up. Every team in the NFL is banged up. There's been no more injury-riddled year than the NFL season of 2020. So I don't want to hear excuses about injuries to David Bakhtiari. I don't want to hear excuses about Aaron Jones or Allen Lazard or anybody, all right? Because the team that just beat the Green Bay Packers has like 15 injuries, and they're all in the secondary. They're all on the defense. And they were still able to put together a better effort than your Green Bay Packers defense. Dalvin Cook, 30 carries, $163. I mean, Green Bay did a decent job. They didn't have to do a whole lot against Thielen and Justin Jefferson, combined for 6 catches and 52 yards or 53 yards. They didn't have to do anything because Minnesota knew exactly what they had to do, and that's run Dalvin Cook. Hey, Dalvin, I know you haven't played in a couple of weeks. We're going to feed you the ball 30 times. Cool. Bring it. I know it's going to work, too. 4 touchdowns. First guy since, what did they say, Ahmad Rashad in 79? I wasn't even alive the last time a Viking had 4 touchdowns in a game. Just an unbelievably pathetic outing by the Green Bay Packers. And you know what? I didn't really think about this until this exact moment. You can message me or hit me up on Twitter or on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Mike Wickett Podcasts. Did Green Bay look ahead? Did Green Bay look at this team coming in, Minnesota? No, they couldn't have, right? There's no way you can overlook a division rival. But if they did, if they were caught looking ahead to the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday, that's kind of the measuring stick, right? The team that pummeled you twice, including national television in the NFC Championship game. That's your measuring stick, right? That's the team that you care about. Okay, how do we stack up against San Francisco? We didn't stack up real well against Tampa. How would we look against Seattle? We beat New Orleans. I don't know what to make of the Saints, but our next measuring stick is not the Minnesota Vikings. They'll come in here, Cousins. He'll throw the ball 35 times. They're not going to just run it down our throat with Dalvin Cook 30 times, are they? Nah. I wonder if they got caught looking ahead 4 days from now to the San Francisco 49ers, and a game that's going to be on national TV, the one everybody's going to be talking about. I mean, some of these Thursday night games suck. Like when you get Jags-Jets, who cares? Or Broncos-Jets a couple of weeks ago, who cares? But when you get San Francisco and Green Bay, 2 of the great franchises in the history of the National Football League, Montana and Young and Rodgers and Favre. I mean, you got 4 of the greatest quarterbacks and Bart Starr. 5 of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play in the National Football League. You got the defending NFC champs. You got a team that they beat in the NFC title game. Like, this Thursday night matchup has all of the juice. And I know San Francisco's missing some players, and so is Green Bay. But just when you say Packers-Niners, that's got a lot more juice these days in 2020 in Week 8 or 7 or whatever the hell we're in. That's got a lot more juice than Packers-Vikings. I didn't think about it during the day. I didn't think about it during the second half when Dalvin Cook was churning on yard, and 4 touchdowns. I didn't think about that when the Packers were imploding defensively in front of me. But maybe, just maybe, this team was looking a little ahead to the San Francisco 49ers. That's it. This is such a frustrating loss. This team should not have lost to this Minnesota Viking team at Lambeau Field. And I know home field isn't what home field is supposed to be because of COVID and everything that goes on. But that was an embarrassment. Packers lose 28-22. They fall to the Vikings. Green Bay now 5-2. We'll see what happens the rest of this week. And then you know what? It's Niners week now. Now it's time to answer the bell. Now it's time to see where you stand. I mean, they bounced back fine after the loss to Tampa Bay. All right, fine, whatever. You came out and you beat Houston. Like, all right. You beat a bad Houston Texans team that's kind of giving up on its season. And you bounce back with a win there. Now you lose again. How do you bounce back? But this isn't Houston. This is physical. This is George Kittle. This is Kyle Juszczyk. This is that backfield, and there's like 50 guys in that backfield. We'll see if Deebo Samuel can go. We'll see if some of these other guys can go. There's a lot of speed. Jair Alexander's going to be tested in this game. Who's going to cover Kittle? I have absolutely no idea. But this is it. This is your measuring stick game. Everything else, put it behind you. Come out, get tough, punch him in the mouth, go blow for blow with this team. I don't want to turn this game off at halftime. I don't want it to be, well, it's 28-6. Because it would be, here's what's going to happen. If the blueprint that we've seen comes to light again, it'll be Green Bay goes down the field, kicks a field goal on their opening drive. San Francisco, touchdown. All right, 7-3. Green Bay goes down, kicks another field goal. San Francisco comes back down, touchdown. 14-6. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's 28-6 at half, and you're like, what in the hell happened here? I don't want to see that. I want this team to show some fight. I want this team to show the fact that they are tough, if they can muster it up. Pack the middle. Stop those guys on the outside. Nothing makes me believe that it can happen based on what I've seen so far in the first couple of years under Mike Pettine and the way this defense is constructed. But, hey, I didn't expect him to lose this game, so maybe it'll go the other way. That's it. Packers lose 28-22. They fall to the Vikings. What a super fun podcast, right? Hey, hit me up on Twitter at Mike Wickett. You can hit me up on the Instagram page as well at Mike Wickett. YouTube, just search for me, Mike Wickett. And the Facebook page, we're on Spotify, Apple, Google. Please tell a friend. And when you do listen to the podcast, wherever you're listening to this, please subscribe to it. Definitely need that. Rate it and give me a review. Let me know what you think of it. And that way we can, develop the podcast even further. And maybe one day I'll be Joe Rogan. That's it. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, my name is Mike Wickett. I appreciate you listening very, very much. We'll be back during the week to preview the Niners game. I'm going to call out to San Francisco, see if I can get somebody on from one of my buddies out in San Francisco to join me. And we'll do that then. So until then, this has been Wickett on Wisconsin with me, Mike Wickett. Go Pack, go Bucks, and go Brewers. Thanks for listening to Wickett on Wisconsin. If you have any feedback or you want to reach out to the show, you can find me on Facebook, Mike Wickett Podcasts, or you can email MikeWickettPodcasts@gmail.com. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mike Wickett. Thanks to Silverman Sound Studios for providing the music for today's show. And you can find us anywhere you find your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Until next week, thanks for listening to Wickett on Wisconsin.